Hello everyone, my name is Jakub Polaczyk, and as a Vice President of New York Dance and Arts and Innovation, I would like to invite you for a quarantine talk with the wonderful, well-known Polish conductor, composer, Maestro Wojciech Czepiel, who is now in Warsaw, and who will share with us his thoughts with his last 6 months. And also we're going to perform at the Chopin and Friends Festival, his American premiere of the brand new work, Duets for Two Violins, that will be performed November 15 at the St. Kostka Church in Greenpo. So hello.
Hello, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. We are very glad that you will share your thoughts as a conductor, as a composer, and also as a violinist.
Oh, it's a great pleasure for me.
So my first question, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you if you can tell us a little bit about your last half year. How did you spend it? How was your time? Because as we know, it's difficult also for conductors because the concert halls are closed. Tell us a little bit about last 6 months.
Even about last year, because
okay.
composing these duos, it took me just 1 year. And I came back at the end of September 2019 from Ho Chi Minh when I had a concert with fantastic orchestra of opera Ho Chi Minh. I wanted to compose duos, which idea I had a long time, and just I wanted to compose this from October. I didn't know how much time it will take, so it took actually 8-9 months till May. The thing was how to compose it different way than two great composers, Bartók and Berio, who composed their version of duos for violins, and these duos, especially Bartók duos, are very famous, and many
double B, B and B.
Yes, they are. These duos are performed quite often. I thought about longer pieces than duos of Bartók and Berio, which are very short, like 1 minute, not more. Maybe some of them are longer only, but majority of them are very short, 1 minute. So I wanted to write a little bit longer duos, something like 2-3 minutes. Finally, I composed only 24 duos. Because
it's a special number. If you're gonna go back to the history of music,
yes,
24 preludes, Chopin 24 preludes,
yes,
Shostakovich.
Yes, it is somehow inspired by this magic number, which we can find in many compositions written earlier even in 18th century. Yes, as we know, Bach.
Of course.
Preludes and fugues, yes. So 24 duos, and it lasts 1 hour. It's quite long.
Yes.
But some of them are also very short. And another problem was how to diverse this music, because it's difficult to listen 60 minutes of very modern music, very contemporary language can be maybe tiring, especially for younger violinists, because I thought about duos not only for soloists, experienced soloists, but also for teenagers. So the level of difficulties is also very diversified. Mm-hmm. So the language is diversified, and the level of difficulties is also diversified, even aggressive sometimes. And there are a few duos completely tonal, like waltz, ragtime, polka.
The dances.
Yes, and I would say that duos inspired by folk music are somehow in the middle, if we talk about language. That they are not very modern, but also they are not tonal. I use something mild contemporary, not very contemporary. but also material, folk tunes forced me to use such language.
I have a question also
Yes.
now about the cycle, because that's a cycle of 24 pieces. And yes. About an order and also your main idea of the cycle, that there are some things, maybe elements that are similar in each movement, like a big cycles in the history of music, coming back to Schumann, or, you know, like a romantic or even contemporary cycles.
Yes, my idea was very simple and very practical. From very beginning, I was thinking about a recording of duos. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking how to write this and how to organize them, that when you listen the music on CD, you can sit 1 hour and listen to with pleasure. So this was the main idea, very, very practical. Mm-hmm. So when I finished all of them, I put them on the floor.
Yes, many composers do that. They put sometimes on the wall, sometimes on the ceiling. Some composers, you know, they tape it.
And I was looking what can be first, what can be next, to change climate, to change character of music, that it can keep listener interested all the time. This order comes from this idea.
This idea, okay. Yeah. So kind of journey, I would say, a journey.
It is, yes, it is kind of musical journey, yes.
Yes, that's great. And also tell us, because as a violinist, experienced violinist, probably you have violin at home, right? And you tried most of the chords and most of the techniques. So have you played them?
Yes, I played, but what is funny that the most difficult for me, although I am violinist, was to find correct solution for the duo number 13, where I used the second violin plays pizzicato.
Pretty fast, yes, pretty fast. This pizzicato. This one? No,
it is fast, but the tempo is not the main problem. The problem are chords. Oh. And first, what I composed first, I was quite sure that it should be good for the violin. Then I took violin and I learned, and I'm uncomfortable for the violinist. So I changed completely the line of second violin, completely. I composed from beginning again. I had to change harmony or so, and the type of accords, type of chords I used. So I learned a lot writing this. What kind of chords I can use when you repeat things many times and always 3 notes, 4 notes, it's difficult to write. Mm-hmm. If you play separate chords from time to time, it's not problem. But when you repeat, it can create problems.
Yes, but maybe you should avoid number 13, or maybe you should switch to the different number. Then it could be much better, because that's an unlucky number.
No. I didn't know that this duo will have number 13.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know this.
Oh, okay. Maybe
it just happened.
And then you decided, okay, that's going to be number 13, because I had a lot of problems with this movement. So let's put a number 13.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's very interesting about that. And tell me also about your experience working with musicians, because last time it was very difficult. So did you have virtual consultations? How did you work with musicians? Did you talk on Skype, or maybe did you use internet?
You mean preparation
for the recording? Yes.
Yes. No, I met with soloists at my home. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Joanna Konarzewska and Mrs. Anna Maria Staszkiewicz are excellent violinists, and we met at home. We talk about music, and we also practice together. I explain some issues of this compositions, but they are very experienced, so most of things they did by themselves. And of course, recording is a little bit different thing as a concert. So recording also gives some chance to rethink interpretation because of microphones and the final result on the tape, which not always is the same as on the concert.
That's right.
Because when we make recording, it will stay many years, and you can return to the recording and repeat this many times. So it has to have special value, special elements that can keep attention of listeners all the time when they return to the recording.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But you know, you did a lot of recordings as a conductor. You were assistant of Professor Penderecki for many years with the school orchestra. I remember when I was studying in Krakow also that we were preparing some concerts like Te Deum and also a concert by the Krakow composers. So tell me also, how is your perspective of recordings? How do you prefer recordings or the live concerts? Or maybe you are the artist that values concert better, because like Richter, for example, or Glenn Gould, right, who was only doing mostly recordings. So how do you like recordings? How do you like that?
Recording with orchestra is a very complicated thing. It's really complicated because it's different job than concert. You have to repeat certain elements. First of all, you have to prepare orchestra for the recording. And when you start recording, you have to choose the way how you record. I prefer to record long fragments. The best is to record whole part, because we have to somehow repeat a climate of the concert. But because of studio and microphones and time, we can repeat. If we see that the recording requires to make 2, 3, 4 versions, we can repeat. So to repeat and to keep the same tension, a musical tension, is very difficult. It's very exhausting.
Yes.
So also it is very, very difficult for orchestra. If musicians are experienced and they used to record regularly, it's quite easy because they know how to organize their attention, their concentration. But if orchestra is less concentrated, less experienced, then it's difficult. You have to explain how to concentrate and why.
The duets was very different experience. Is it your first chamber work recorded on the CD, or maybe not?
It is first one, yes, it is first one, because I have to say frankly, I decided to compose regularly not so long ago, actually 5 years ago. So this is my first CD as a composer.
Congratulations, that's great.
Thank you, thank you. It's a little bit difficult. It is a little bit difficult change in my life, but I am absolutely sure that this is the correct step, and I'm happy that I had the courage to make this change.
Yes, and so great. And I have now think, because about the premiere, of course, because of the current situation with the pandemic, it was postponed, right? Because it was supposed to be performed on the John Paul II anniversary concert in Nowy Targ, south of Poland, right?
Yes, yes.
That's, so this didn't happen, right? Because
it didn't happen. It should happen 18th of May. Exactly the day of the 100th anniversary of
the birthday. Yes, the birthday. Yeah.
And it was cancelled. And now we had also plans to have concert, 3 concerts, but situation is getting worse in Poland.
So tell us about this. How is it?
We have now every day new 8,000, 9,000 cases. Yes, it's very difficult situation now. So we had to cancel our concert. But fortunately, publishing of CD is a different thing. So I can do this, and it will be published in November. But the concert had to be postponed.
Yes, but also you mentioned this piece will perform in the other cities, right? To me, because we're gonna have American premiere at this Chopin and Friends Festival, but also you're gonna have performance in Switzerland, right?
And then also it's cancelled. I yesterday received information that is actually not cancelled; it's postponed.
So the same situation, Switzerland, also not good.
Yes, they told me they have to have not more than 4,000 cases a day. So then we can have a concert.
So that's very also difficult. I didn't know about Switzerland, so it's sad to hear that. I just keep my fingers crossed because the situation now is more stable in New York. It was bad in March, but now it looks it's better. But now the String Noise Duo, wonderful, very experienced in contemporary music.
Yes, I'm very happy that they will perform this.
Yes, we are looking forward for this event. But this is a Chopin and Friends Festival, so I would like to also ask you about Chopin. You as a conductor and as a violinist, you had a lot of experience working with great pianists, also from the Chopin competition, recent Chopin competition, and performing his works with the orchestra, like the piano concertos. So tell us a little bit about your experience working on preparation of Chopin music.
Of course, I had to conduct Chopin piano concertos many times.
Many times.
Essential repertoire for pianists, and especially in Poland when we have Chopin competition every 5 years, we have many new participants, so they play a concerto with orchestra, and also after that prize winners, they also perform concerto. Beginning was not easy. I remember one of my first soloists was Lidia Grychtołówna.
Oh, very famous Polish pianist, right?
Great Polish pianist, and she performed whole evening only Chopin. It was first piano concerto. And
E minor, right?
E minor, yes, and some other pieces. So I remember it was really big challenge for me. I was 25 years old at this time. But from this moment, it was in 1984, 85, I think. From this time, I conducted Chopin music many times. And I like very much to conduct these accompaniments, yes. Yes, it's a real pleasure. It's despite of critics who criticize orchestral part of Chopin concertos. I am of a different opinion. In my opinion, it is very well written for orchestra.
A lot of string sections, a lot of strings.
Yes, and that's why we can follow the soloist, because soloist is making a lot of rubato, a lot of changes in tempo, and because of accompaniment is mainly in the strings, we can easily follow the soloist and change the tempo and wait for the soloist for his coloratura and changes of rubato.
Do you have your memorable experience maybe with special, because every performance of this concerto is different. Do you have maybe special moment or maybe special pianist, special concert that you keep in your memory?
No, but I can say something I think interesting, that for the pianists especially, that this is not true, that if somebody is trying to play Chopin not too much rubato, that it is easy for the conductor. It is not true.
Okay.
If you play this naturally with a lot of rubato, which is inside the music, is much easier for the orchestra and for the conductor to follow this phrasing, which comes directly from the music of Chopin.
Yeah. I think this is amazing thing. You as a composer, you might maybe also agree with me that many composers also had problems with rubato in the orchestra, changing the tempos. I think also why Lutosławski was going for this aleatoric style, because he wanted more freedom in this kind of timing, because always the strict tempos is very limited, and many composers deal with that. And I think Chopin also didn't write that much for orchestra because he was struggling probably with timing of writing for the orchestra. So I think the solution that he wrote everything, timing, mostly in the piano and as a background in the orchestra worked very, very well for this case. Yeah. Because if he would written the solo piece just for orchestra, it would be a different way. I think maybe that's why we later came with this Lutosławski idea, and composers are always working on this timing, rubato in orchestra. So what do you think about this idea of rubato in orchestra?
If structure and idea of the structure requires rubato, orchestra can do it very easily. Mm-hmm. Musicians immediately feel where is the freedom. Mm-hmm. But if the structure is written this way that it should be performed exactly in tempo, you can easily recognize this. So it depends on composer, how you build this structure. If the structure, how to write the structure which can be performed with rubato, with the many changes of tempo.
No, I'm just thinking, in the contemporary music, a lot of great composers for orchestra, they have like hundreds changes of tempos in the piece, because this is working on this kind of different timing. So it's very difficult always to have very short parts in the orchestra with all the time different tempos. But I know a lot of them struggle with this idea of rubato and the constant tempo entire piece. So, you know, that's why we have so complicated scores for orchestra nowadays.
Yes, but the changes of tempo and rubato is not the same as change of time signature. Time signature is, of course, complicated, but usually is connected with the same tempo.
Yes, but tempo marks. 140 after 2 marks, 120, 104, then 80. Many scores are like that.
Yes, but whenever it happens, it should be connected with the structure, the type of structure. If it comes from the structure, musician can easily recognize that the change of tempo is absolutely natural, and they can easily learn these changes and remember these changes also, to make these changes. Mm-hmm. This is my opinion about that.
Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing about these ideas about the idea of the tempos in the music, which is always a very important topic for composers nowadays. And I also want to ask you another question. When you are talking about the Chopin idea, have you heard the recording of Maestro Pletnev, the reorchestration with Trifonov recently of the piano concerto E minor? It was released, I think, like 2 years ago with a slightly different orchestration. So what do you think about this? Do you know this recording?
No, I don't know this recording. I know another version made by Balakiriev.
A composer.
Yes, composer Balakiriev. Yes, he did his own instrumentation. It's interesting, very well done. Balakiriev was excellent composer.
Wonderful piano concerto, by the way. Many times here with WQXR, almost every week, I hear his first piano concerto. They play in the radio. It's very well known here in New York.
But for me, I used to spend a lot of time with the original version, so I prefer original version. But why not? If somebody has these needs to make his own version, why not? Why not?
That's great. Okay, great. Also, because, you know, there are also so many versions of the same piece, like with Mussorgsky, you have so many, because, you know, like when you have a score reduction, like for example, Mussorgsky, the piano version, then you have so many possibilities, because as you know, that Chopin didn't write exactly everything. He put some flutes, that's idea. So the idea of the orchestration was a little more free in this case. So more freedom, more ways. You know, it's always very interesting because orchestration is a topic when we work with colors. So it's always actually very fascinating. I like very much when we hear different orchestration of the same piece,
Of course.
And I have a question. When you perform, for example, like pieces like the picture of exhibition, you always chose Ravel, or maybe also chose different composers, because there's like 100 of orchestrations.
No, mostly Ravel.
Mostly Ravel.
But I know two others, Rimsky-Korsakov and Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi, yes, I also.
Yes, there is a very good instrumentation of Ashkenazi. But I conducted Ravel.
Ravel. I remember I had this discussion when I was studying musicology. Professor Stachowski always said about this, that he always loved this picture of exhibition with the different orchestration, because then we learn what we can do with orchestration, because you can hear so many great, and nothing is just one case. You can have so many possibilities, and everything is correct, actually. When it sounds good, yes.
That's very good point. Thank you for this. I will try to listen a few other instrumentation, because as you said, it will be a source of knowledge for me.
Yes.
How we can imagine different way the same piano version.
That's right. You know, I also opened my mind very much. A few years ago, the Gideon Kremer had concert with his string orchestra, and only a picture of exhibition was performed by string, and so many colors. And I was thinking, oh, great! And I recall this talk with Professor Stachowski about this picture exhibition. It's a great always experience for the students. I think I always say that if you want to hear, start from picture exhibition and hear 10 arrangements and 10 orchestrations, and you will hear what the orchestration is.
Yes, I will look at this version with strings. Yes,
just with the string orchestra. Yes. So also maybe you can tell us more as a conductor, or your experience. You are working in Asia also, right? You are working with the Hanoi Orchestra. You compose some works for them. You conduct in some concerts. So tell me, how is your collaboration with the Hanoi Orchestra?
My first impression, very good impression, was that musicians from string section are excellent. They were studying in Russia, and so they have a very good school for string players, coming from Moscow and Leningrad at this time. Yes, this is very good Russian school, and they have teachers, older teachers who were studying in Russia 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And of course, they have a younger generation who studied also in Russia and also in Norway.
Norway?
Yes, it was very
surprising.
Yes, surprising. They have very good teachers in Norway also. So they have in Vietnam, they have excellent teachers for string players. And that's why they have a very good string section. Of course, they have only 3-4 orchestras, so they are at the beginning to build this how to say?
But Western orchestras, because Western instruments, right? I'm talking about the Western orchestra.
It will take time for them to build proper amount of orchestras, yes. But I think it will happen. It will happen. They recently built new orchestra, Sun Symphony Orchestra, which is paid by some big private company. They have Vietnam National Symphony Orchestra, Hanoi Philharmonic, and Ho Chi Minh Opera Orchestra, and also they have some academic orchestras. So slowly they build this musical market, and also society become richer and can attend concerts and are interested not only how to earn money, also how to spend money for something.
But Maestro, tell us, because the concert is cancelled, is postponed. How is it in Vietnam now? How's the situation there? Orchestras.
They have concerts now. They have. I see that they play concerts regularly
with the social distance audience, probably, right?
Perhaps, yes, yes.
Perhaps, yeah. So, you know, maybe the last thing when we are going to talking about this orchestra, because you as a conductor, you compose some works for them. And maybe you can tell us, I was thinking, because I found on your YouTube channel that this is this Sequenza #2, that you as a conductor and this Hanoi orchestra. So we would like to play this, hear this piece, and I will play that later after our chat. So you can tell us a little bit about this Sequenza II, about the title, about the inspirations, about your memories working on that piece.
I composed this Sequenza for Hanoi Philharmonic. We arranged the date, and I had almost 1 year to compose this. So it was a very pleasant time for me, because I knew when it will be performed and who will perform this. So it's much easier to compose. But I want to mention also about Sequenza #1, because there is another Sequenza. Actually,
it's recorded.
It is recorded. Yes, it is recorded. This video on YouTube. It was composed much earlier in 1991, and at this time I didn't give number. I was not sure if I composed Sequenza #2. So these pieces are different, completely different. The Sequenza #1 has many fragments where I use the aleatoric notation, but Sequenza #2 is written completely in measures, precisely in measures.
Notated precisely.
No aleatoric notation.
But you know, also the title, is it inspired anything by Berio or not?
Of course, it is inspired by.
It is. Yes. Okay.
It is inspired by Berio, but the word sequenza means a kind of development. I like very much.
Sequence.
Yes, because I wanted to write something which developed, from beginning to end. Actually, every composition somehow develops, but
every composition is sequenza. Maybe not every, but most of them.
Yes. So, but because I had a certain plan how to compose this, how to build the structure of composition, this energetic development. So this name Sequenza, I like very much. I knew very well it comes from Berio, who composed many sequenzas. And
but for solo instruments, and we have Sequenza for orchestra, which is different perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
But I am planning to compose Sequenza #3, but it will also be for orchestra.
So all the Sequenza for orchestra.
And why? Because when I performed in Krakow's Sequenza #1, Professor Adam Kaczyński, who was
yes, I remember very well. I remember him very well.
MW2, he was a member of the contemporary ensemble MW2. He came to me and he told me, why you don't compose next 1 or 2 parts? It should be like Sequenza 1, 2, and 3, like a cycle, which should be performed together. And I always remember this moment when he came to me and told this, and it was I was very moved when I heard this advice from him, from such experienced man in contemporary music. So I think that I will compose the 3rd part because of his work for orchestra.
That's right. Yes. And I remember I had performances also during his classes. It was a very nice time. And I also wrote actually a piece dedicated in his memory that was for the trio. So I have very good memories with Professor Kaczyński. Yeah. So now I'm thinking, when we are talking about music, about this sequenzas, maybe we'll go to the end with this conversation, but now we will hear this Sequenza II, okay, which was premiered 2017, right? As I remember. 2017, Yes,
Yes.
with this Hanoi Symphony Orchestra. And I have a question because there is a lot of tubular burst parts, a lot of those glockens. Yes.
Yes.
So do they have special maybe meaning for you as a main force of the piece, or you just wanted to use the color?
I just wanted to use them. I like this sound.
Yes, yes.
This is the reason.
It
The only
always,
reason.
yes, it recalls like.
Anyway, I have to be careful in the next compositions to do not use them. Do not write everywhere the same thing.
Yes, because that's a very important instrument in this entire piece. It's like it has very pretty important role. It also happens at the end many times. You hear those bells. You will hear on the recording. So thank you very much, Maestro. We are looking forward for this, hopefully, for the great performance here in New York of these duets. And the concert will be live stream, also will be on Facebook and on the YouTube. And thank you very much for the conversation, sharing your thoughts about Chopin, about your idea of composition, and about recent times. Thank you very much again. And we wish you all good health and all the best for your future career.
Thank you very much. It was my great pleasure to meet with you. All the best.
Thank you, Maestro. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.